I want to welcome you today to the Parent Consistency and Procrastination webinar. So I do hope we'll have a few more people join us. And if they do, I'll just pop them in and they can join along. But right now, if you want to open your chat, if you're able to, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're here, what you hope to learn, how I can help you best. That would be a super big help, and it'll help me guide our call today. Let me just make everyone talking to anyone can talk to anybody. So that's good.
So we're typing it in the chat. Is that, sorry, I don't have a lot of Zoom experience.
That's okay. Absolutely. Yeah. If you can find your chat button, that just allows everyone to type at the same time. And then we'll just talk about the things that are there. So you can just pop it into your chat. Tell me about yourself. What are you struggling with? What do you want to learn? How could I best help you? Mother of two who just started homeschooling. Wow, that's a hard journey. I've homeschooled. I think most of you have come from homeschool groups, so here and there. I want to be my best for my kids. I work full-time, so managing my kids and trying to get it all done consistently. I have two kids. This is our third year of homeschooling. Wow, kudos to you. I don't know how you work full-time and homeschool. I can't imagine. And organizing myself. Mom of two homeschool sons for 15 years. I hope to learn time management and the best advice for staying consistent. Awesome. Very good. I think you're in the right place. So I'm going to start by telling you my journey. I'll try to make it short. I was not always good at this. That's not a surprise. Most of us aren't born being all organized and having it all figured out. And I certainly don't have it all figured out. And I'm still on my own journey and I'm still working at it. So I really didn't do anything difficult throughout my life. I avoided everything difficult. I didn't work hard. I didn't set goals. I avoided anything that might make me feel like I didn't have it all together. And then the older I got, I realized I was wasting my life. So then I started digging in and digging deeper. And, it really was having kids, just like you. It was having kids that made me want to be better, made me think about the skills that I wanted my kids to have, and to realize that I didn't even have those skills. And if I didn't have them, how was I ever going to teach them to my kids? It is too difficult to teach skills that we don't have or we haven't been working on. And so I really just dug in and I watched videos and I read books and I remembered some of the things my parents had told me. And I kept by trial and error working on it. And I will admit, when I was homeschooling, I was quite inconsistent. I am a great planner. Every time I felt like I was being inconsistent, I just sat down and made a new plan. Well, that plan's not working. I'll make a new plan. It wasn't the plan, people. It was all me. All right. I was the one with the problem. It wasn't the plan. And when my kids realized that I was inconsistent, then they would fight for me to continue to be inconsistent because it was so easy to get me to just give in to inconsistency. So I wanted things to be consistent for my kids. And it wasn't really until I started my own business that I really learned to be consistent and to really push through and take risks that were going to allow me to succeed. So I had a dream, and if I wanted to get there, I had to set goals. And if I wanted those goals to succeed, I had to take action. Not one day, not 2 days, every single day. I had to keep on working, even when it felt like it wasn't working. So that's a little bit about myself. That's my history. And so here I am. And you should be asking yourself, so why is this person in any position to tell me anything? You should always ask yourself that. You should be asking yourself that of every person that tries to speak into your life. So I will just tell you that I am the owner of Discern to Learn, where I teach my students to be powerful speakers, confident in the way they speak and share their faith and the way that they act in life, and to teach them to be persuasive writers, and also to set goals, take action, be self-responsible, and to learn time management, because those skills are what make us successful in academics. Those skills are what make us successful in life, in every area of life. So I've added all those skills together with language arts, and I've packaged it in a package, and I'm seeing amazing results. So that makes me very excited. But in my own personal life, I'm seeing amazing results. And I really just want to share that with you, because I've learned a few things and I would love to share them. So I just wonder now, oops, blank page. How far have you made it? How are you feeling about your journey to reaching success? Is this something you can really do? How are you feeling about your goals? Want to pop in the chat what you're thinking? What is really getting in the way of reaching your goals? I won't do it. I can't do it. I want to do it. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to try. Or where are you on that process? I can do it. Excellent. I want to do it. Very good. How much difference do you think it's going to make in your life and in your kids' life if you attained these skills? So you're welcome to speak, or you can pop in the chat. What difference do you think it's going to make? How much difference is it going to make?
I think it will set them up for their life,
Mm-hmm.
and help them. It will be a way for them to learn to follow our steps and achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And to push yourself to do it
Mm-hmm.
and keep consistent and not procrastinate.
Exactly. Okay, a huge difference. It's going to make a huge difference. But you're probably asking yourself or saying to yourself, but I failed so many times. Can I really do this? Here's my question to you. So let's reframe this. This is something that I might say to one of my students, but it's reframed more for adults. So let's say that you have an appointment with the lawyer next week. Are you going to show up? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hands up. Tell me in the chat. Give me an answer. Yeah, I'm going to come. You're going to show up, right? Yeah, you have to. Okay, you have to show up. And what if you don't show up, right? Like, there's consequences. Exactly. So I'm here to tell you that yes, you can do it, because if you can show up to that lawyer's appointment, you can show up for yourself and you can show up for your kids every day. What if you had a medical issue and you had to go every single day to a clinic to get treatment? Would you show up? Yeah, it would be a priority. So I know it's unpopular and I know it doesn't feel nice, but I'm here to tell you, if you want it bad enough, you really can do it. You won't be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And it's not exactly the same as showing up for medical treatment every day. But if we look at how much difference it's going to make in our life. Okay, so I want you to think, how much difference will it make for me if I'm really willing to invest in making consistency a priority? How is that going to change my life? How's it going to change my family? How's it going to change my children? How important is that? Is that more important than showing up to one lawyer's appointment that you could just reschedule? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, this matters. And I think sometimes, or very often, we forget the value in it. In the moment, it doesn't feel as important. In the moment, it doesn't feel good. In the moment, we don't feel as though it is the thing that matters the most. Right? But in the course of our lives, the consistency and being able to do the hard things that need to be done really makes a difference. So if we really catch a glimpse of how it can change our lives, or maybe sometimes it's the opposite. Let's take what we're doing now and let's like follow the trajectory and see what's gonna happen. Where is that gonna go? What are the consequences of those actions going to be? When we see the cost of inactivity, the cost of not being consistent, the cost of procrastination, then really we might value it quite a bit more. So it feels like a difficult message, but I want to encourage you. This isn't like a slam because I do the same things, right? But we all need to remember that this really, really matters. You know, the cost of not fixing this problem is immense. And if we can fix this problem in our lives, our children can learn from us. We can break generations of this and we can change something for the future. Now, they might not get it right away. You know, my parents spent like 20 years telling me, if you just put things away instead of throwing them on the floor, if you just put your clothes away instead of throwing them on the floor, it would save you a lot of time because you wouldn't have to spend 2 hours on Saturday cleaning your room. And it took me a long time to figure it out. But eventually I tried what they said, but at the time it didn't seem worth it to me. But when we come to a place where we really see the value and we really see how much it's going to cost us if we don't change, then we can have the willpower it takes. And it won't be easy. And we're going to fail. And we're going to struggle. And we're going to get back up. And we're going to keep on going. Right? The same as we expect our kids to do all of the time. We expect our kids to keep on trying even when things are difficult. So, unfortunately, the only thing stopping us is us. That is the unfortunate truth. Have you ever struggled with your kids and you got a parenting book or the library, or you ordered one off Amazon or somewhere, and you read the parenting book and you went, that's brilliant. This isn't fixing my kid. This is fixing me though. And I don't want to fix me. I just want to fix my kid, right? How many times I read parenting books and I've just been so frustrated because the problem wasn't my child. The problem was me. So when we realize how important it is. So I want you to kind of just very honestly, you know, consider to yourself, how badly do you want this? So if you're willing to share how badly you want this, I don't know whether you want to do a scale of 1 to 10, or what is it worth to you? How badly do you want to change this in your life? How important is it? A 10, way to go. You're all in. Excellent. Okay, we got 3 all-in people. So here's the thing. When we're all in, that means we're going to give, it's worth everything. Exactly. It's worth everything to do this, right? This is going to change us. It's going to change our home. It's going to change our children. It's going to change how we feel about ourselves. How many times have we been discouraged or felt poorly about ourselves because we blew it again? Or we're back making a new plan for our homeschool again, when really we know deep inside that if we just stopped planning and started doing, it would be better, right? I'm a planner. I love to plan. You want me to plan your school? Oh, that would be like the dream job. Okay. I would love to plan everyone else's life as long as I don't have to do it, right? So the problem is the doing. Okay. So then we come to strategy, because it's not that easy, right? It's not as though, like, I mean, you've known this. I really want to do this. Okay, this time I'm going to do it. Okay, this plan I'm going to follow through. And the first day, pretty good. Second day, yeah, pretty good. Mostly the third day, right? I don't know how long you manage, but when I make a new plan and I do wholesale change in my life and I change up the whole thing at once, it's really hard to stick to. Now, some people, they can do a wholesale change and that motivates them. It motivates me to plan, but it doesn't motivate me to do because it's too much change. So you have to know yourself a little bit. And you have to know, am I the type of person who needs to change one thing, work on one habit at a time? Or am I the kind of person that is going to do well with a wholesale change? So it sounds like for many of you, we're really talking about homeschool. Can you tell me in the chat, are we talking about homeschool follow through, or are we talking about something else? If you can just tell me what kind of follow through we're talking about, because then I'll be able to direct it a little bit. Homeschool? Okay, both things. So other things, but also homeschooling, yeah. And homeschooling and other things, of course, because when we struggle in one area, we struggle in that area for everything, right? If we had it all together, then, we just have it all together. No one has it all together. So that person you look at and you think they have it all together, they might just have the outward things all together, but nobody's perfect. Okay, so there's a few things that we can know. There's some things that we can work on. So first of all, if you're working on your own and you're working by yourself on this, it's going to be much more difficult. There are some statistics that show that if I really, really want to do something, like I can be all in, I really, really want to do something. If I just plan and I go forward, there's only like a 50-50 chance I'm actually going to follow through, statistically speaking. So the people that they researched, when they talked to them, when they did the study, 50%, that's kind of sad. Even though I really, really want it, 50% of the time I'm going to fail. That's a coin toss. That's like almost not even a statistic. That's like, it might work, might not. If I tell somebody else that I'm going to do this, it only goes up to 65%, 64 or something. That's still pretty low. But if we have somebody we're accountable to and we know, listen, I'm going to do this. Can you check in with me on Friday and make sure I did this? It's 90-something%, between 93 and 95%, that you are actually going to follow through. That is the power of accountability. That's why in my classes, the students have classes. I don't do this one-on-one because, first of all, I can't have accountability to every single student one-on-one with me all the time. I just don't, no one can afford that. I don't have time in my life for that. So it's really, really important to find somebody that you can be accountable to. And there's some skills in my life, well, not skills, but there are some disciplines in my life that honestly, I have to text my husband immediately. I did it. I got up, I went for a walk. Send. Because he's waiting to hear if I went for a walk. I haven't since we came back from holidays. All I've done, got up in the morning and done student calls all day, 10 to 12 hours a day since I got home from holidays. And next week, my life will go back to normal. So, not this week, but there are some things that we need like immediately to have someone to be accountable to, or we might have to have a certain time of day. And if we don't text that person and say, I did it, that they're texting us and going, hey, did you do that? I didn't hear from you. Sometimes we just need someone to kind of know that we're failing. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to use that word. because when we use that word, then we can make a difference and we can change our plan. So when we have a team, we have someone to work with, we are able to be more disciplined and we're able to follow through better. We were created to be part of groups and not to be on our own. So right away, I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you. Find a partner. Find somebody that is going to hold you accountable, who's not going to say, it's okay, I know, life's hard, you'll be better someday. Don't worry about it, don't feel bad. Those are not your real friends. They might be really nice people. But when you look for an accountability partner, you want to really look for someone who's going to like be tough as nails and say, you know, I know it was a difficult week, but did you make a different plan then? I know it was busy, so how are you going to fit that in? Or, okay, it feels kind of lousy to fail. What's your plan for changing that next week? What's your plan for changing that tomorrow? And I just want to mention that trying harder is just wishful thinking. I'm going to try harder is never going to help you. Well, not never, but 50-50. It will help you 50% of the time statistically, but it's really not a plan. A plan is, I'm going to change the way I do things in this certain way to make sure that I can follow through. So do you have any ideas for, awesome, goal 1, find an accountability partner? Great, thank you very much, Lala. And find an accountability partner. You want to pop in the chat, what are some ways that you can have some kind of reminder or work something into your life so that you can have your plan work itself? So what I'm looking for are, how are you managing your time in such a way that you're going to be triggered to do the things you need to do? How are you keeping your time management? How are you making sure your things happen? Do you have any suggestions? What might work? What's worked for you in the past? Or maybe what you've tried that doesn't work, it might work for somebody else. If you have any great ideas, I'd love to hear them. All right. What are some ways that you could write it down? Yeah, just make a list. Oh yeah, there's something valuable in crossing things off lists. I'm a list person. I'm great at making lists. A weekly plan. Send it to your sister and get her to check up on you a week later. What a great idea. Okay. Is a week too long? Maybe a week might be too long. When you get more practice, a week might be too long. Daily might be a little bit better, right? Because we start a new day. Our homeschool plan starts a new day every day, right? So yeah, we could have someone, flat tire trouble. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Janelle, welcome anyways. I'm glad you're here. We're just looking for some strategies, some things that we can do to help us in our planning, to help us to remember to do the things we need to do and to be more accountable in our lives. So far, the first thing is you need to find an accountability partner. And now we're just talking about strategies that we can use for making sure we stay on task. So if you have some, you could just pop it in there. Oh, you make a list for everything. Me too. Then I lose them. To be honest, I have lists everywhere. All right. And okay, so having someone to be accountable to. If there's something that you need to do at a certain time every day, set an alarm on your phone. Set an alarm. When that alarm goes off, go and do it, right? Sometimes we just need a trigger. Other types of triggers, maybe there's things that you do every day that you can attach to things that you're going to do anyway. So for instance, if you want to incorporate read aloud time, you know for sure that you're going to sit down and eat, right? So how about you put those things together? When we eat, we do this. Blocking out time on your calendar. Absolutely. Okay, so if you take your calendar and you just block, like as homeschoolers, Okay, Janelle, I don't believe you're a homeschooler, correct? But as homeschoolers, and everyone else here is a homeschooler, so we're kind of looking for homeschool strategies. We can actually I want to encourage you, just block your calendar, shut your phone off, don't take calls. That is your time to school. Anyone who knows you, they're just going to know you're working now. You're not available. This is your job. So if it's really important, they'll leave a message. If it's not really important, they won't. So make it a priority. So just block it off on your calendar and say, this is what we're doing from this time to this time. Exactly. Oh, you're homeschooling next year. That's exciting. All right. Okay, so blocking it out on a calendar, that's a great idea. Some people work very well by taking a calendar and filling in every single time slot. So that doesn't mean you don't have any free time. That means you plan your free time. So you say, okay, well, I'm homeschooling from this time to this time. We're going to take lunch about here. I mean, we can be flexible with our time, right? But we're going to take lunch about here. So maybe I'm going to send the kids outside for a half an hour, and I'm going to spend a half an hour like breathing. Okay. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read a book. Or more likely in the real world, that's when you're doing supper prep in the half hour you send your kids out. And, you know, that's how you manage your time to make sure all the things happen. My son very honestly manages on a 24-hour cycle. He finds out what time he has to leave for work. He backdates it like 8.5 hours. That's when he goes to bed, and he schedules every single hour of the day. He schedules social events. He schedules the gym. He schedules video games. He schedules everything. That would stress me out, like really stress me out. I'm more of a make a list of things that have to be done today. And on the side of that, these things have to be done by a certain time. So that's how I manage those things. So that's one way you could do it. Set an alarm on your phone, attach it to something else. I want to say if you are trying to fit in something like gratitude into your day or prayer into your day, if there's someone you're trying to pray for, it is wonderful to attach it to washing your hands. I know, but how many times a day do we wash our hands? Right? If you're memorizing something, well, you know what? Your dishwashing time just turned into memorization time, unless that's also time with your kids. So you can attach something to something that you're going to do anyway, right? So we wash our hands lots of times a day. So if we have little things that we can do, in fact, that worked really well for me one time. There was someone I wanted to pray for, and I was so frustrated because I just felt that I was like failing and not following through. And so what I did is I attached it to going to the washroom. Okay, so I go to the washroom, I wash my hands. And you know, it took like a week. I put a sticky note every bathroom. Pray, right? Just to remind me, oh yeah, washing my hands, I'm gonna pray. It took me about a week or so, and I was at the mall and I went to the washroom and I'm washing my hands and I started to pray. And I realized this really works. Now, you can't do that for other things, you know, like every time I wash my hands, we're going to do math. Well, that's not going to work very well. But we can attach it to things, and we can do the same thing for our kids. So we can say, you're memorizing these words this week. So every time you go and wash your hands, work on these words and attach them. Put it on the mirror. You're memorizing this. So you wash your hands, look at those words. It's 2 minutes, right? And maybe they'll take longer to wash their hands, which would be a bonus too. So those are some strategies we can use. Now, what about when we fail? Okay, pop into the chat for me. How does it feel when you don't achieve what you had hoped to achieve? It's not very nice, but awful. Yeah, what does awful feel like? Let's relive it. Let's relive those emotions. We want to remember how bad it feels to not follow through. I know we don't want to. You feel incapable. Really good. Deflating. It's important for us to know the cost. This is what it's going to cost. If I don't do this thing, this is what it's going to cost. We want to remember how badly it feels. A waste of planning hours. Oh, yes. Yeah. Just being unable to achieve the task. Yeah. So you just feel like it's hopeless, like it's something in you, right? So all of a sudden now you're putting yourself down, right? Yeah. And you're taking that on as a personal flaw, a character flaw, not a not following through with expectations. And I want to tell you, you are not a failure because you fail. You are not hopeless because you've lost hope. When you fail, when you don't achieve what you want to achieve, instead of beating yourself up, and saying, I'm just useless, I can't do this, I'm never going to be able to do this, okay? We have to reframe that in a way so that we're telling ourselves instead, oh, this feels horrible. It's okay, feel it. You want to feel it, okay? I spent years just avoiding every bad feeling. Yeah, it's not a good plan. Don't do that. If you avoid all the bad feelings, then there's no cost. Then there's no cost to not following through. So we want to feel those feelings and then say, okay, I failed. I didn't do what I planned. That's okay. There's a new day. 5 minutes from now is a new minute. Like next minute is a new minute. I failed last minute, but I don't have to fail in the next minute. I don't even have to wait to the next day. Like how many times, okay. How many times have you had like a bag of Skittles or M&Ms or something? I don't know what candy you have in your place, or whether it's chips or chocolate, that like just calls you, and eventually you try to be yeah, you try to be self-disciplined, but you're just not being self-disciplined. And so finally you just say, oh, forget it, I'm failing anyway. I'll just finish the whole thing and it'll be gone. And then I'll be able to be self-disciplined because there won't be any. But that's not self-discipline. Yeah, I know. I do it. I get it. I get it. All right. We don't want to be like that about inconsistency and procrastination. We don't want to say, well, today's already a failure, so forget it. I'm just done. I'm not doing anything now. Because then we failed again and again and again and again and again. We need to be able to say, okay, I didn't achieve my goal, but I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm learning. This is a learning process. My brain is plastic. It can change, it can grow, it can develop, and I don't have to stay where I was. You can look back and you can see how far you've already come, or maybe you haven't come far yet, and that's okay too. You can look back and see, and you can remind yourself that you have hope because you've changed already, or you've changed in other areas of your life. So if you've changed in other areas of life, you can do this too. You can do lots of hard things. And now from this minute on, I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to okay, how am I going to not let this wreck the rest of today? Right? So when we lose our temper with our kids, how are we going to make it not wreck the rest of the day? How are we not going to make it wreck the next hour? How are we going to move on? So we need to be able to look at our plan and say, okay, the next thing on my agenda is this. Okay, let's do that. This feels lousy, and I don't want to feel this about the next task too. We need to know the cost that it is if we don't achieve. But we also need to celebrate the victories of when we do achieve and allow ourselves to be proud of that. Find someone we can share that with. Okay, this is why I haven't given up homeschooling even after 15 years. Don't quit. It's been the mantra through so many failing moments. Exactly. Don't quit. Don't quit. It is worth it. It's worth it to grow and develop, and it's worth it to show your kids that you can grow and develop, and if you can, so can they. Right? You expect that from your kids all the time. So now we have to do it too. So we need to reward ourselves. And that's also part of being in a team. You know, if you just start like randomly telling like friends here and there, guess what? I did math today and I didn't procrastinate. They're going to look at you like you're nuts, right? But maybe, or they might just get tired of hearing about all your successes. If you have someone that you're accountable to, you can call them up or you can text them and you can say, hey, guess what? I made it through a half a day and I did all the things on the plan. I didn't do them in order, but that doesn't matter, right? Or my child had a meltdown and we just took a 5-minute break and we cuddled on the couch and we got over it and we got back to it. Right? Those things matter. We need to be able to celebrate our successes. So those are some other strategies. We have to feel the bad feelings and we have to feel the good feelings. So we have to know the cost of inactivity and we have to know the reward of meeting our dreams. So keep track. Write down when you succeed so that when you're having a bad day or a bad week, you can go back and you can read. Oh yeah, look, that week, that's how I was feeling. That's how it feels to succeed. I want that feeling again. So something I want you to do right now, just pop in the chat. I want you to tell me, how is it going to feel when you finish your first week of homeschooling where you actually follow the plan every single day? How's that going to feel? What does amazing feel like? I ask the hard questions. Okay, amazing in capitals. What does that feel like? Hey? You feel confident. You feel happy. Yes. Do you feel like you could take on the world now? Yeah, you feel lighter. Exactly. Yep. Very good. Good. So you have more confidence and you also have more confidence that tomorrow you're going to be able to do it. Right? Yeah, you don't care about the disappointment so much. Yeah, you've left the bad feelings behind and you've moved on to happy feelings. And I was telling a student this week who was saying that they really needed to work on anger issues. And so I said, you know what, I had the same problem and I was homeschooling young children and I was so not patient. And I realized I was falling in this really bad rut of like yelling all the time. Like I just get angry. I'd lose my temper all the time. Okay, not proud of it, but you know, been there, right? And so I said, okay, I gotta do something about this. So I stuck a whiteboard on my fridge and I thought every time I make it an hour without yelling, I'm gonna put 1 tick mark. I couldn't get an hour. That was kind of discouraging. Okay, so then I said, okay, 15 minutes. If I can make it 15 minutes, every 15 minutes, I'm gonna put a tick. So I set a timer to go off every 15 minutes. And then I had like 20 ticks one day. And I lost my temper and I almost cried to have to wipe that off. How discouraging is that? But man, I felt that pain because the next time I started getting ticks on my little chart, little, what are they called? Tally marks. Guess what? It came up in my mouth and I bit my tongue because I didn't want to wipe it off. I didn't want to feel that way. So it's good, right? It's good. It hurts. It hurts, but if we feel the pain and we feel the joy, then we can realize it really matters. Okay, so can you just pop in the chat right now? What's the one thing, top one thing that you need in order to make this happen in your life? What's the one thing that you need to make this happen in your life? What skill do you need to develop? Or what do you need to incorporate? What do you need so that you can change this? Because it's one thing to have a goal and even to know what the strategies are. But now we have to break it down into smaller pieces and say, okay, well then in order to succeed, what do I need? What am I going to do to set myself up for success? Consistency and patience. How can you get that? So that's a goal, but what are you going to do to get that? Your first thought to be prayer. Okay, I've done that too. Yeah, okay, first pray before you speak. Okay, accountability. Yep. Remember, trying harder is wishful thinking. We have to find a plan how we're going to try harder. Accountability. And yes, praying. Keep on trying. Yeah, don't give up. Definitely don't give up, but don't just make it hoping to do better the next day. So accountability. What about making a plan to stick to it? Okay, if you don't have a plan, get a plan. Get a calendar. Yep. Make a plan. If your children are older and you're doing a homeschool plan, have them help you. Let them have input into it. The older they get, the more they need to be in control of what's happening. Otherwise, they're not learning self-discipline, they're learning other disciplines. So you definitely want to do that. Write the priorities. Oh, yes. Priorities. What is most important in your life? We didn't even talk about priorities. Okay. So you have to remember the priorities, and sometimes the priority is not to follow the plan. Sometimes the priority might be relationship. Sometimes the priority might be, we have a million appointments today, so the plan is just going to have to change. We have to be a little bit flexible with our plan sometimes, and that's not failing. That's being flexible, because life gets messy. All right. But we have to be able to get back on the plan. If most of the time we're being flexible and not following the plan, then we're just being inconsistent, to be very honest. But we have to be able to discern what are priorities, what really matters. And when we make our plan, put the priorities first. The most important thing should be the first thing on your plan. They might not be the first thing in your day. Maybe they have to happen at a different time. But put your priorities on your calendar first, the things that matter the most. And I tell my students, another strategy you can use is look at your list of things you have to do that day and pick the one you really don't want to do and do it first. Just get it done. Maybe you want to do that with your kids. You want to like pull out the list and say, okay, everybody, this is the list of things today. Everybody pick one thing that you really wish that I could stroke off. They're only going to fall for that once. Okay, and then you say, okay, we're going to do that first. Done. Let's do that. Let's get it out of the way with, and then we can stroke it off, right? Okay, goal 2, write the homeschooling priorities for the year. Okay, I would love to talk more about planning your homeschool based on your priorities. That's huge. Make sure what you're doing fits your priorities for your homeschool. It is super important. Make sure it fits your priorities for your life, your priorities for your family. Your homeschool should come under all of those priorities. So the most important things have to be the most important things. Yeah, exactly. So priorities for the year, the month, the week, and the day. Excellent. I don't like to spend as much time because I know that I'm not going to do it. I don't spend a lot of time on my calendar because I know I'm not going to do it. I keep a Google Calendar. And when I have a task that has to be done in a certain day or by a certain day, I put it as a task on that day. And other than that, so there's lists of tasks on my calendar, and there are appointments on my calendar. And other than that, I just work. I just fit the things in where I can fit them in. Even with my homeschool, I did not spend a lot of time planning every week because I knew it's not really going to get done. Like, I just know myself. You have to know yourself and make a plan that's going to work for you. So I actually planned my year. I broke it down into terms. I set aside weeks of rest so that we got to do fun stuff. because I'm not a very fun person. And if I don't set that aside, it's not going to happen. And then also, I would then I would break it down and break it down until I knew, okay, this is the list that has to happen this week. And that's as far as I broke it down. Right? We have to do 3 math this week or 10 math this week or whatever it is. We have to do this and this and this and this. And I just put check boxes by it. So if it didn't happen on a certain day, that was okay. We could change the order. We could, maybe one day was just super busy and we had to fit things in another day. That was okay. And then I knew that we could figure it out over time. If one week got behind in a couple of things because my kids were struggling with a certain idea, that's okay. We didn't have to work extra. There would be another day. And our weeks off, my kids very quickly learned that if they were behind, that just meant we were doing catch up. So that was another way that I managed stress and managed to keep a plan there. So, okay. So I want to invite you, if you're looking for accountability, I want to invite you, welcome to success, okay? If you need accountability, if you want to learn more about this, I want to set up a parent class just for parents, only doing success mindset accountability. That is all we are doing. We will just meet once a week and for 12 weeks. And we're going to, at the beginning, you're going to have 1 hour direct with me, one-on-one. We'll work out some goals. We'll set up a plan for you for how you might reach those goals that you're going to be in control of, you're going to make, you're going to adjust. And this is exactly how I do with my students. And then each week we'll meet and we'll talk about, okay, how did you do this week? What are your wins? What are your failures? Why did you fail this week? What ideas can we come up with to help you to succeed next week? And I'm also going to set up a private Facebook group so you can communicate together as a group, so you can keep each other accountable. And I really hope that people will grab a buddy and continue the accountability after the course. So if you are looking for that, it's $365 for the 12 weeks. It is it's like a low price course. And that is going to give you a beginning for how you can get some accountability and just have someone walk you through the first few months of just getting this figured out. So I will put the link there. If you want to register, you're welcome to snag it and go and check out the registration form, save it for later, message me. So I will say, as I conclude, that just because you feel hopeless doesn't mean it's without hope. Okay? Just because you feel like a failure doesn't mean that you're a failure. Our feelings are just road signs. All they do is tell us that there's a problem. They don't tell us what to do. They just tell us that there's a problem we need to take care of. So you might be feeling like you don't know what to do. You might be feeling that you have failed so many times that you just don't know if you can do it. Well, today I hope you'll be encouraged. I hope that you will reach out, find an accountability partner, find some way that you can change this in your life and make a difference for you and for your students.